Welcome students. Today we will start with the new topic, that is NCERT chapter 9 Amines. So today is the theory part 1 and the section which we will cover today is from 9.1 to 9.3. This is the disclaimer. So let's start by looking the objective of today's lecture. So after attending this lecture, you will be able to describe amines as derivatives of ammonia having a pyramidal structure, and you will be able to classify amines as primary, secondary and tertiary. And you will be able to name amines by common names and IUPAC system. So according to NCERT, the topics which we will cover today, first is the introduction. Next is section 9.1, which is structure of amines. Next is 9.2, that is classification. Next is 9.3, which is nomenclature. And for your better understanding of the concept, we will solve two in-text questions, that is 9.1 and 9.2. So before starting with the chapter, first let us see how can you prepare this chapter for competitive exams. So first is NCERT basics. Okay, so you have to focus on the basics first. Okay, so you have to thoroughly study NCERT for fundamental concepts and reactions. Next, you have to focus on the classifications of amines, that is primary, secondary and tertiary, and also their basicity order. Next, which is crucial, is to learn the rules for naming amines. Okay, so nomenclature, you have to learn nomenclature rules carefully. Next comes the reactions and mechanisms. So first is the Gabriel phthalimide synthesis. Next, you should know about the Hofmann bromamide reaction. Next is carbylamine reaction. And next is diazotization and coupling reactions. Next, here are some key concepts. First is the effect of substituents on the basicity. Next, you should know the test to distinguish between primary, secondary and tertiary amines. Next, you should know the structural differences and nucleophilic substitution reactivity. Now, here are some preparation methods. First, you need to memorize all the preparation methods for amines. Okay, so this means knowing each method by name and being able to recall the basic steps that are being involved. Next, you have to focus on reduction reactions. You need to understand Hofmann degradation and alkylation of ammonia. Next, let's talk about the practice part. So applying whatever you have learned through practice, okay, it is the key to master these topics. First, one effective way to practice is by solving previous year questions, okay, PYQs from both exams like JEE and NEET. Next important strategy is to take mock test, okay. So these practice exams, they help you manage your time and identify the areas where you might need more revision. And last, you need to create short notes for quick revision. Okay, so summarize key reactions, mechanisms and important point about amines. Okay, so this will make it easier to review before exams and it will ensure that you remember the most important details. Okay, so now let's start with the chapter amines. So first of all, what are amines or how we classify amines? So students, amines are an important class of organic compounds. Okay, first of all, let us see how we define amines. So amines, they are organic compounds which are formed when we replace one or more hydrogen atoms in ammonia. So this is ammonia, NH3. So when you replace one or more hydrogen atoms in ammonia with the alkyl or aryl groups, then the structure which we get is amines. Okay, so that means you are starting with ammonia, that is NH3, and you swap out hydrogens for other groups like alkyl or aryl groups. So the thing over here is that ammonia, which is NH3, it is the base molecule for all amines. Okay, so you can think of ammonia as the starting point, and by changing its hydrogen for other groups, you get different types of amines. Let us take the examples which will make your concept more clear. First, we have taken the example of methylamine. Okay, now look here carefully. What is happening in methylamine? So, one hydrogen in ammonia is replaced by a methyl group, okay, which is CH3. So, look here carefully. This is ammonia, nitrogen, and 3 hydrogen atoms, right? Now, I have replaced one of these hydrogen atom with a methyl group, okay? So now what I get is methylamine. Okay, so this is methylamine. Next, take one more example of diethylamine. Now what I did in this case, I have replaced 2 hydrogens of ammonia by a ethyl group. Okay, so this is ammonia with 3 hydrogen atoms. I have replaced 2 hydrogens by 2 ethyl groups. So the structure which we have got is diethylamine. Di because we have 2 ethyl groups. Okay, so this is diethylamine. So in methylamine, we have replaced 1 hydrogen of ammonia by a methyl group. And in diethylamine, I have replaced 2 hydrogens by 2 ethyl groups. So we got methylamine and diethylamine. Okay. Now let us see the occurrence of amines. So see, amines, they occur naturally in many important biological molecules. So they are found in proteins, which are essential for building our bodies, as well as in vitamins, alkaloids like nicotine, morphine, and hormones, okay, such as adrenaline. So this shows that amines, they play a key role in both plant as well as in animal life. So if we look at these two images, okay, so these are two well-known molecules that contain amine group. So we'll see over here, this is the amine group, and over here, this is the amine group. Okay, so this is adrenaline, which is a hormone that helps your body respond to stress, while this morphine is a powerful painkiller which is derived from plants. And specifically, if I talk about adrenaline, then it is important to know that this hormone is used by our body to increase blood pressure during emergencies. Okay, so this is a part of the fight or flight response which help us react quickly to danger. Now next we will talk about synthetic examples of amine. So these compounds, they are widely used in making polymers, dyes, and especially drugs. So let us look at the specific drug example that contain amines. So we have Novocaine. It is a synthetic amino compound that is used as a local anesthetic, often in the dental procedures. Okay, and if I talk about Benadryl, then it is an antihistaminic drug that helps relieve allergy symptoms. Okay, so both of these rely on the presence of amine group for their function. Next, another important class is quaternary ammonium salts. Okay, they are also amine derivatives. So they are commonly used as surfactants, means they help mix oil and water found in products like disinfectants and fabric softeners. So if you specifically look example, here we have Novocaine and here we have Benadryl, okay? And both of them contain the amine group. Next, we will focus on the hybridization and shape of amines, okay? So listen it very carefully. So over here, you will see a pyramidal shape of amine. So you will see over here a nitrogen, which has a lone pair, 2 R groups and 1 hydrogen. First, we will talk about hybridization. So can you see over here what hybridization it is possessing? It is sp3. How we calculate the hybridization? Lone pair plus bond pair. So we have 1 lone pair and 3 bond pairs. 3 plus 1, 4. That means sp3 hybridization. So if I talk about the hybridization of nitrogen, then the nitrogen is sp3 hybridized. This means 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals, they mix to form 4 equivalent sp3 hybrid orbitals. Okay. Next, if I talk about the shape of amines, then you might think if it is sp3 hybridized, then the shape must be tetrahedral. Okay. But over here, students, shape is not tetrahedral. Instead, they have trigonal pyramidal shape. Why? This is because one of the sp3 orbital contains a lone pair of electrons. So we see over here this nitrogen contains a lone pair of electrons, okay, which pushes the bonded atoms down and create a pyramidal shape like structure. So hybridization of amine is sp3 and the shape is trigonal pyramidal. Now if we talk about bond angle, then in a perfect tetrahedral bond angle is 109.5 degree. However, in amines, the bond angle is slightly less than 109.5 degrees. Okay, can you guess the reason why? This is because of the lone pair which is present on the nitrogen. Okay, so over here, these lone pairs, they repel the bond pairs more strongly. Okay, and squeezes the bond angle close together. So if you see, there is lone pair bond pair repulsion which squeezes it and the angle is less than 109.5 degree. Okay, so this is because of the lone pair bond pair repulsion. Okay, so hybridization of nitrogen is sp3, shape is trigonal pyramidal and bond angle is less than 109.5 degree. Okay, now if you specifically look at the example, then if I talk about trimethylamine, okay, so in this molecule, the bond angle around the nitrogen atom is about 108 degree, okay, which is slightly less than the ideal tetrahedral angle, which is 109.5 degree. Again, the main reason is because of the presence of lone pair on nitrogen, which pushes the bond pair. Okay. If you look at this example, this is trimethylamine. Okay. You will see 3 methyl groups are bonded to this nitrogen and I have one unshared electron pair. Okay. So this will see that the bond angle is 108 degree, which is slightly less than ideal tetrahedral. This is because of the lone pair and bond pair repulsion. We have bond angle 108 degree. Now we are going to discuss the classifications of amines. Okay, so listen carefully. We are now moving towards classification. So we will classify amines as primary, secondary and tertiary amines. Now on what basis I am classifying them as primary, secondary and tertiary? So amines are classified according to the number of hydrogen atoms on ammonia molecules that are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. Okay, so the classification is based on the number of hydrogen atoms replaced. So the key concept here, the more hydrogen atoms are replaced, the higher is the classification. Okay, so one by one, let's look towards it. First, I'm talking about primary amines. Primary amines, they are often written as 1 degree. Now, in primary amine, students, only one hydrogen of ammonia is replaced by an alkyl or aryl group. Okay, for example, if I say ammonia is NH3 and one hydrogen is replaced by a methyl group, so we get methyl amine. If I move towards secondary amines or 2 degree amines, then I think you can guess that 2 hydrogen atoms are replaced by an alkyl or aryl group. Okay, so if I replace 2 hydrogen atoms in ammonia by 2 methyl group, I will get dimethylamine. Next is tertiary amines or 3 degree amines. So they have all 3 hydrogens on the ammonia which are replaced by an alkyl or aryl group. Okay, so if I replace all the hydrogens of ammonia by 3 methyl groups, so I will get trimethylamine. Okay, look here at this figure, the concepts will be more clear. So this is amine, which is NH3. If I've replaced one hydrogen of this amine, okay, by this R group, which can be an alkyl or aryl group, so I get a primary amine. Now if I replace 2 hydrogens by 2 R groups, then I get secondary amine. If I have replaced all the 3 hydrogens by the alkyl or aryl groups, I will get a tertiary amine. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now, another, amines can be classified based on the type of substituent that is attached to the nitrogen atom. Okay, that is these substituents that are attached to this nitrogen. Specifically, we look at whether the group is an alkyl group, okay, which is a chain of carbon atoms, or it is an aryl group, which is based on a benzene ring. So it is classified into 2 main types: alkyl amines, okay, which have general formula RNH2. Here R stands for an alkyl group like methyl or ethyl. And second one is aryl amines, okay, which has general formula ARNH2. So AR stands for an aryl group, such as phenyl group from benzene. Okay, example, if I say aniline. Now, let us look at this table, okay, which is based on the classification of amines. Now, if you look towards the primary amine, what I told in primary amine, one of the hydrogen is replaced by an alkyl or aryl group. So, you will see one hydrogen is replaced by this R group. So, here I have replaced one hydrogen with the ethyl group. Okay, so I got ethyl amine. And over here, if you'll see, I have replaced one of the hydrogen in the structure with an aromatic ring over here. Okay, so the corresponding amine which I have got is an aniline. Okay, in aniline, NH2 group is attached to a benzene. So this is an example of primary amine. Now if I look towards secondary amine, then 2 hydrogens of ammonia are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. Okay, so if you see over here, I have replaced 2 hydrogens with 2 ethyl groups. Okay, so I have got diethylamine. In this case, I have replaced 2 hydrogens, one with a methyl group and one with the ethyl group. Okay, so I have got ethyl methylamine. Now in case of tertiary amines, all the 3 hydrogens of ammonia are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. So if you see over here, I have replaced all the 3 hydrogens with the ethyl group. Okay, so I have got triethylamine. Over here, I have replaced all the 3 hydrogens, one with a methyl group, one with this ethyl group, and one with this C6H5 group. So I have got N-ethyl, N-methyl, aniline. Okay, we will discuss about the nomenclature in upcoming slides. Right now, you have to focus what is primary, secondary, and tertiary amines. Okay, so I hope By now, the classification is cleared. Now, it is important to realize that primary, secondary, and tertiary amines, they are actually considered three different functional groups in organic chemistry. Okay, that means each of them have unique properties and they react differently in chemical reactions. Next, we will discuss different types of amines. Okay, so we will see about mixed and simple amines. First, notice that amines, okay, they can be divided into two main types depending on the kind of alkyl groups that is attached to the nitrogen. So they are mixed and simple amines. First, we will talk about simple amines. In simple amines, all the alkyl or aryl groups that is attached to nitrogen atom, they are the same. Okay. Next, if I talk about mixed amines, then second type is known as the mixed amine. In mixed amine, not all the groups which is attached to the nitrogen are same. Okay. So in simple amines, as I've told you, all the alkyl or aryl groups are same. If you look at this example over here, then you'll see it is R2NH. Okay. So over here you will see both R groups are same. Okay. And this is a secondary amine. Why? Because two hydrogens are replaced by two alkyl or aryl groups. Over here you will see R3N. That means all the three R groups, they are identical over here. Okay. And it is a 3-degree amine because all the three hydrogens of ammonia are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. Now if I talk about mixed amines, so as I told, not all the alkyl or aryl groups which is attached to the nitrogen are same. So if you look at this example, here you will see two hydrogens are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. So it is R and R dash. So both R and R dash, they are different groups. Okay. And if you see over here in tertiary amines, 3-degree amines, if you will see over here, all the three hydrogens of ammonia are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. So in this case, one is different and two is same. Okay, that is R2 and R dash. And over here, if you'll see, then all the three groups are different. R dash and R double dash. Okay. So simple amines, all the alkyl or aryl groups are same. Mixed amines, not all alkyl or aryl groups which is attached to the nitrogen are same. Now we will look at two important types of amines, that is alkyl amines and aryl amines. Okay. So alkyl amines means nitrogen is attached to an alkyl group. Okay. And if you'll see the example over here, then you will see that this nitrogen over here is attached to an alkyl group, which is a methyl group. Okay, so that is methylamine. Okay, so you will see one of the hydrogen of ammonia is replaced by this methyl group. Next is aryl amines. So in these compounds, the nitrogen atom is attached directly to an aromatic ring like benzene. Okay, so if you see over here, one of the hydrogen of this ammonia is replaced by this benzene ring. Okay, so this is an aryl amine. Okay, and what is its name? It is aniline. Okay, so if NH2 group is directly attached to a benzene ring, we get aniline. Okay, so the main difference is that in alkyl and aryl amine is whether nitrogen is bonded to an alkyl group or an aryl group. Now students, we will look towards the nomenclature. How are we naming these compounds? Okay. First, we will see towards alkyl amines. So what happens? First, notice the parent chain. Okay. So in parent carbon chain, we assign number to each carbon atom. The numbering, it helps us specify exactly where the amino group, that is the NH2 group, is attached. So if you see over here, I have done the numbering 1, 2. So it is specifically showing that the NH2 group over here is attached to the first carbon. Okay. Next, what happens when you write the name of parent alkane? Okay, the E, that is the suffix E at the end of alkane name, is replaced by amine to indicate the presence of amino group. Okay, that is the E of an parent alkane is replaced by amine. Okay, if you look at this particular example, then you will see that one of the hydrogen of this ethane, this is ethane because it has 2 carbon atoms. So one of the hydrogen of this ethane is replaced by NH2 group. So how you will name it? I told you that the E of the parent alkane is replaced by word amine. So see, I have replaced the word E with amine. So I have got ethane amine. Okay, so this is how you write the IUPAC nomenclature for alkyl amines. Now, if more than one amino group in the molecule is there, we use prefixes like di for 2, tri for 3. Okay, so this tells us how many amino groups they are attached to the carbon chain. So if you look at this particular example, you will see over here that 2 NH2 groups are attached. Okay, one on the first carbon and one on the second carbon. So how you will name the compound? It is ethane 1,2 diamine. Di because 2 amines group are there. Okay, and 1,2 shows the position of this NH2 group or this amino group. Okay, so this is ethane 1,2 diamine. Now we will look at the IUPAC nomenclature of alkyl amines. So for secondary and tertiary amines, the largest alkyl group, it is chosen as the parent chain. Okay, and the remaining alkyl groups which is attached to the nitrogen are named as N substituents. Okay, so which are directly attached to the nitrogen, you name them as N substituents. So this means we use letter N to show that these groups are directly attached to the nitrogen atom and not the main carbon chain. Okay, let us look at specific examples. Now over here, this is an example. Okay, first you have to see the longest carbon chain, which is a parent chain. So here we have only 1 carbon atom. Here we have 2 carbon atoms. So I will select this as my longest parent chain. So I have done the numbering 1, 2. Okay. Now the groups which are directly attached to the nitrogen, they are designated as N substituents. So if you see, this methyl group is directly attached to this nitrogen. So the name will be N-methyl ethane amine. Okay, that is E of ethane is replaced by word amine. So it is N-methyl ethane amine. Okay, and the common name is ethyl methyl amine. Okay, because there is one ethyl group and one methyl group. So common name is ethyl methyl amine and IUPAC name is N-methyl ethane amine. So N over here shows that this methyl group is directly attached to the nitrogen atom. Okay, take one more example. Now if you see at this example, look here. To this nitrogen, 1 methyl group, 2 ethyl groups are attached, directly attached. First I will see the parent chain. So I can select either this as the parent chain or this. Both are same. So I will do the numbering 1, 2. So this will be ethane amine. Okay, that is E of ethane will be replaced by word amine. Now see, this methyl group and this ethyl group is directly attached to the nitrogen atom. So they will be designated as N substituents. So look at the name N-ethyl, N-methyl, ethane amine. Okay, ethyl comes first because alphabetically E comes first. So N-ethyl, N-methyl, ethane amine. And if you look at the common name, it is methyl diethylamine because two ethyl groups are attached. So methyl diethylamine. Okay, so I hope now you know how we are doing the IUPAC nomenclature. Now we will look at aryl amines. So first look at the simplest aryl amine, that is C6H5NH2. So this compound is known as aniline. So aniline is a benzene ring with the NH2 group attached. Okay. How you name aryl amines? So according to IUPAC naming rules, we replace the E at the end of arene with amine. For example, if I take benzene, okay, so I will replace E of this benzene by amine. So it becomes benzene amine. Okay. Now substituted anilines, they are named as derivative of aniline. Look at the example, it will be more clear. Look here students. So this is an aniline, okay. NH2 group is directly attached to a benzene ring. Now look at the substituents. If you'll see, if I do the numbering, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the fourth carbon, a bromo group is attached. So the name will be 4-bromoaniline. Okay. If I talk about the IUPAC name, I told you that E of arene is replaced by amine. So see over here, it is 4-bromo-benzene amine because E is replaced by amine. So this is also correct, or 4-bromoaniline is also correct. So both names are accepted, but if I say benzene amine, it follows the strict IUPAC rules, okay? While aniline, this is commonly used, but both are accepted. And if I talk about common name, then common name will be para-bromoaniline because Br is para to this NH2 group. Okay, so the common name will be para-bromoaniline. Now let's see in-text question 9.1. So you have to classify the following amines as primary, secondary or tertiary. Now let us see first part. First, we will see how we classify. Okay, so just we will recall it. Right now only we have discussed. So amines are grouped based on the number of hydrogen atoms on the nitrogen that are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. Okay. So if you see, if one hydrogen is replaced by alkyl or aryl group, we call it as primary amine. If two hydrogens are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups, we call it as secondary amine. And if all the three hydrogens are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups, we call it as tertiary amine. Now let us see the IUPAC nomenclature rules, okay? First is that suffix E of the parent alkane is replaced by amine. For example, if parent chain is ethane, E of ethane will be replaced by amine. So it will be ethane amine, okay? Next, we need to specify the position of amino group on the parent chain. We do this by numbering the carbon atoms in the chain and indicating where the NH2 group is attached. If we have more than one amino group, then we use prefixes like di, which is used to denote two amino groups, and tri, which is used to denote three amino groups. Now for secondary and tertiary amine, the largest alkyl group is chosen as the parent chain. And the other groups which is attached to the nitrogen, they are called as N substituents. And we indicate them with N prefix. Okay? If I talk about aryl amines, then in aryl amines, the suffix E of arene, like a benzene, is replaced by amine. Okay? Now let us look at the first one. If you look at this first example, you will see one of the hydrogen of this NH2 group is replaced by one of this carbon of this ring, which is naphthalene. So the common name will be 1-naphthylamine. Okay, this tells us that the amine group is attached to the first carbon of the naphthalene ring. Now, will you tell me, will it is primary, secondary or tertiary? Of course, it is a primary amine. Okay, because the nitrogen atom is attached to only one carbon atom and two hydrogens forming an NH2 group. Okay, so if you'll see, only one of the hydrogen is replaced by this carbon of naphthalene ring. So this is a primary amine. Okay. Next, we will see another example. If you look at this IUPAC name of this compound, it is NN-dimethyl 1-naphthylamine. So if you'll see, two methyl groups are directly attached to this nitrogen. So they are designated as N substituents. So it will be NN-dimethyl 1-naphthylamine. Okay. And what is it? Is primary, secondary, or tertiary? It is a tertiary amine. Okay, because you will see that all the three hydrogens of this nitrogen is replaced, two by this methyl group, two by this by this methyl group, and one by the carbon of this naphthalene ring. So it is a tertiary amine. Okay, so if you'll see, this nitrogen has no hydrogens now. Okay, two are this methyl group and one is this carbon of this naphthalene ring. So it is a tertiary amine. Next, if we see, if you name this IUPAC, it will be 1-ethyl propane 1-amine. And if you'll see, this is a primary amine. Okay, why primary? Because you will see this nitrogen is attached to two hydrogen and one this carbon. So this is a primary amine. And if you look at the IUPAC name, I have selected the longest carbon chain. So this is the chain. Okay, I did the numbering 1, 2, 3. Now at one position there is one ethyl group. So 1-ethyl propane 1-amine. E of this alkane is replaced by amine, and this 1 indicates the position of this NH2 group. Okay, so this is 1-ethyl propane 1-amine, and this is a primary amine. Next, fourth example, it is N-ethyl ethane amine. Okay, common name you can call it as diethylamine. So if you look, this is a secondary amine because you will see that this nitrogen is bonded to one hydrogen and to these carbons. Okay, so this is a secondary amine. And how you name it? Select the longest carbon chain. Okay, so I have selected this chain. I have done the numbering 1, 2. And you will see this ethyl group is directly attached to this nitrogen. So this will be N-ethyl ethane amine. E of ethane is replaced by amine. So this is a secondary amine. Two carbon atoms attached to nitrogen. Okay, so I hope now it is clear how you classify amines as primary, secondary and tertiary. Now, in-text question 9.2. You have to write the structures of different isomeric amines corresponding to the molecular formula C4H11N. Okay, and you have to write the IUPAC names of all the isomers. Let's start. So first we will see IUPAC nomenclature rules for alkyl amines. So I hope by now it is clear. Suffix E of the parent alkane is replaced by amine. Next, we need to specify the position of amino group. We do this by numbering the carbon atoms in the parent chain. And if we have more than one amino group, we use prefix like di, tri. And secondary and tertiary amine, the largest alkyl group is chosen as the parent chain and other groups attached to nitrogen are named as N substituents. Next, we talk about aryl amines. In aryl amines, suffix E of arene is replaced by amine. Okay. Now, let us see. First, structures and their IUPAC names of different isomeric amines corresponding to the molecular formula which is given C4H11N. Okay. This is the molecular formula which is C4H11N. Now look at the first isomer. Okay, if you'll see, you have 4 carbon atoms, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 nitrogen and 11 hydrogen. So this is the first isomer. How you will name it? I have taken this as the carbon chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbon atoms are there. Root word will be butane. And E of butane will be replaced by amine. So it will be butane amine. And what kind of this is it? It is a primary amine because this nitrogen is bonded to 2 hydrogen and 1 carbon. So this is butanamine and a primary amine. Now look at the second isomer. If you look at this isomer, we have changed the position of this NH2 group. Okay. So if you write the IUPAC name, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbon atoms. Butane, E will be replaced by amine, and this 2 indicates the position of NH2 group. So it will be butane 2 amine. Okay, because at second carbon NH2 group is attached. And this is also a primary amine. Okay, because this nitrogen is bonded to 2 hydrogen and 1 carbon. So this is a primary amine. Next, now if you see over here, this is another isomer of C4H11N. Okay, so if you see over here, first how we will do the IUPAC name, I have taken this as the carbon chain. So 1, 2, 3. On second carbon, a methyl group is attached, and on first carbon, NH2 group is attached. So the name will be 2-methyl propane amine. E will be replaced by amine, and this is also a primary amine because this nitrogen is bonded to 2 hydrogen and 1 carbon. Now this is the another isomer of C4H11N. Okay, so over here if you see, then you will see this is the first carbon, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and on second carbon a methyl group is attached and the NH2 group is attached. Okay, so this will be 2-methyl propane 2-amine, and this is also a primary amine because this nitrogen is bonded to 2 hydrogen and 1 carbon. Okay, so this is another isomer. Now this is another isomer of C4H11N. Okay, here we discussed about where it was a primary amine. In this case, you will see it is a secondary amine. So first I have taken this as the longest carbon chain because here there are 3 carbon atoms. Okay, that is this 1, 2 and 3. Now if you'll see, then this is N-methyl propane amine because methyl group is directly attached to this nitrogen. So this will be designated as N-methyl. Okay, and propane amine. This is a 2-degree amine because this nitrogen over here is bonded to 1 hydrogen and 2 carbon atoms. Now this is another isomer. Okay, so if I see, I have selected this as the parent chain. Okay, I have did the numbering 1, 2, and this ethyl group is directly attached to this nitrogen. So this will be N-ethyl ethane amine. This is a 2-degree amine because this nitrogen is bonded with 1 hydrogen and 2 carbon atoms. This is another isomer, okay, of C4H11N. How you will do? If I say as this as the parent chain, 1, 2, 3, okay, and if you'll see, this methyl group is directly bonded to this nitrogen. So this will be designated as N-methyl propane 2-amine. 2 indicates the position of this NH group. And this is a 2-degree amine because this nitrogen is bonded with 1 hydrogen and 2 carbon atoms. Okay. And this is another isomer where you will see all the 3 hydrogens of this nitrogen is replaced by carbon atoms. If you'll see, then one is this methyl group and 2 methyl groups are attached to this nitrogen. So this will be designated as NN dimethyl ethane amine, and this is a 3-degree amine. Okay, so I hope this is clear now. Okay, now let us summarize whatever we have studied in today's lecture. We discussed about the structure of amine. I told you that the nitrogen of amine is sp3 hybridized. The shape is trigonal pyramidal because of the presence of lone pair on nitrogen. Okay, and the bond angle is less than ideal tetrahedral, which is 109.5 degree. Next, we discuss the classification of amines. First, we discussed alkyl amines. In these compounds, the nitrogen is attached to an alkyl group. Okay, for example, methylamine. Next is aryl amine. In this, nitrogen is attached to an aromatic ring. Okay. Then by substitution degree, we discussed primary amines. In primary amines, only one hydrogen atom from ammonia is replaced by an alkyl or aryl group. Okay, formula is RNH2. Then we discuss secondary amines. In secondary amines, two hydrogen from ammonia are replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. General formula is R2NH. Okay. Example, diethylamine. Next is tertiary amines. All the three hydrogens is replaced by an alkyl or aryl groups. Molecular formula is R3N. Example, trimethylamine. Then we discussed IUPAC nomenclature. In alkyl amines, replace E of alkane with amine. Okay, example, ethanamine. And for 2 degree and 3 degree, the largest alkyl is the parent chain, and others which are directly attached to nitrogen are designated as N substituents. And for aryl amines, simplest is aniline, which is C6H5NH2. Okay, so an aniline is a benzene ring which is attached to a NH2 group. Thank you, students, so much for your attention. I hope this lesson was helpful. Thank you so much.